So I'm making this video because I've suffered a detached retina in my right eye. Um, about 2 weeks ago, I was away in France. I live in the UK, and I started getting headaches. I don't normally suffer from headaches. I was doing a lot of exercise, so I hydrated a lot, but the headaches just didn't go away. I had to take pain relief, and then they subsided. 2 or 3 days later, I noticed a blind spot in the bottom left-hand corner of that right eye, and I thought again it might be temporary, and I hoped that it might subside and go away. It didn't. So I rang my doctor's surgery back in the UK, and they advised that GP doesn't normally see this type of thing, and to go and see an optometrist. It wasn't too long before the end of my holiday, so I came home, and the next day I got an appointment to see an optometrist, and I went, and they were brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And within an hour or so, I got the initial suspicion that I had this detached retina. They booked me an appointment at my hospital the next day. The optometrist appointment was a Saturday, and they were concerned enough, and it was okay that they got me in on the Sunday. I went, and again, a raft of tests that I had, and again, it was almost certainly confirmed that this was a detached retina. I was able to see the scans. I've learned a lot in the last week or so. Your retina is the material that attaches the eye socket to the back of the eye, and it had torn and come away from the eye socket. So I was booked into what's called the Northwest Eye Centre in a place called Chorley, in the northwest of England. The next day, the Monday, they saw me first thing in the morning, and again, a raft of tests. All the way along, everybody was fantastic, super helpful, super supportive. And I was absolutely diagnosed with a detached retina. They recommended that because the blind spot was in the left lower part of the right eye, it hadn't gone into what's called my macular vision, which meant that it hadn't affected my central field of vision. So they wanted to operate on it that day. The consequences, if they didn't, was potential loss of sight in the eye. So you just don't hesitate, do you? You say, well, let's crack on with this. They did warn of potential long-term problems with cataracts, but again, they said it doesn't really matter. If you don't have the operation, you could lose the vision. So I was booked in, checked in, and later on that afternoon, early evening, I had the operation. There's two main types of operations I've now found out for detached retina. One is called a spherical buckle, where they actually put a band around your eye, and it puts pressure back against the eye socket to keep the repair in place. Or there's what's called a gas bubble insertion, the vitrectomy that I'm describing, which is what I had. So they put you with a local anesthetic, so that's quite disconcerting. And apparently there's three things that go into the eye. One is kind of a water ablution. The second thing is the laser. And the third thing is what the surgeon described as like a mini vacuum cleaner to suck out excess gel that's got between the retina and the eye socket that's causing this blind spot that was slowly creeping into the eye. A little bit more history. Apparently, I'd had an initial tear in the eye, and it was in the retina, and it was in the periphery of my vision, so I wouldn't have seen it. And what's happening, and that could have been anything from 2 to 3 months, if not years away. But what's happened is that's tried to repair itself, and then it's failed in the last few weeks, and then it's the subsequent leaking and the failure from that the secondary tear that's caused the blind spot. So back to the operation. They go in, they laser the eye, the retina back in place against the eye socket. The surgeon described it as kind of spot welding. Just get a little bit closer, actually, you might be able to see the redness. A bit gruesome, but it was far more red than that. It is painful still. I'll come on to that later. So the laser spot welds the retina back into place, and then where they take the laser out from, they put in a syringe and they inject a gas bubble into your eye socket. And what that does is that exerts pressure against the back of the eye to keep that repair in place. There's different strengths of gas bubble depending on how the surgery is gone. And they can also use oil apparently, but they would have to do a follow-up piece of surgery to remove the oil bubble because the gas naturally dissipates. And luckily for me, apparently the operation went well. And I've had the weakest sort of gas injected that should hopefully dissipate within 2, 3, 4 weeks. So yeah, the surgery went well. What I'm left with now, if I close my left eye and put my hand up, I just can't see. I can see the blurred thing that is the pink thing that is my hand. I can see myself wiggling my fingers a little bit, but I can't. If I was to say how many fingers, I would just be guessing. What you also get with the gas bubble is what's called a spirit level effect. And if I close my left eye, if I tilt my head, because of the gas that's in the eye, the gas bubble stays level with the horizon. It's acting on gravity, of course. And I see a line that's like a spirit level line, which is really weird. And apparently over time, like a reverse blind effect, that level will come down as the gas dissipates and I will start to see more clearly. If I again close my eye, that blind spot, it was a lot worse on the first day of the operation. It slowly seems to be getting better, but I can still see. At first it was like a dark patch. Now it's more like a kaleidoscope effect, as if I'd like to think it's some sort of part of the healing process. So I can still see that. Everybody's journey apparently on retinal detachment surgery is different. For me, I'm just less than a week in, 1 day short of a week after the operation. After the operation, I was sat down by the nurse. Well, I wasn't sat down, I was laid down, because what happens is they laid me on my side so that immediately any sort of excess liquid in there could drain off a little bit. I was also told to go home and sit with my head face down for the first night. And every night at the moment, I have to sleep on my left-hand side so that gas bubble rises and continues to put that pressure on my eye. I've got my yellow armband on, which shows that I've got gas bubble inserted in my right eye. And everywhere I go, not that I'm going many places, I have to take with me my vitrectomy passport. And that gives details of what I've had done. Also, it tells me what meds I'm on. And everybody that has this type of surgery will be on post-operative medicines. I've got 3 different types of medicines to take. 1, 2, 3. And 2 of them are 4 times a day. And they are, one's called chloramphenicol. I'll get that right. And that's an antibiotic. And another one is called Predforte. That's this one. And that's 4 times a day. And that's an anti-inflammatory. And then the daddy is this cyclopentolate, which is 2 times a day. And that, it says it enlarges the pupil and gives some pain relief. Well, it actually stings like hell when you put it in. Maybe there's pain relief after it, but it really does sting. Luckily, that's only twice a day. And I only take that for 2 weeks. I take the chloramphenicol for 2 weeks, and I take the Predforte for 4 weeks. I've got a follow-up appointment after 2 weeks, so that's coming up a week tomorrow, and that's back at the eye centre. And then following that, I'll have another 6-week appointment. It's been a bit of a journey. I had no idea what was happening. It all happened so quickly. I was given, obviously, my own choice of the surgery, but not presented with many choices really. As the one overriding factor I was told is that if I want to save my vision, I need to get in there and do this as quickly as possible. I can't praise enough the support I got. First of all, in the opticians that I went to. Secondly, the initial hospital appointment at my local hospital, and then thirdly, all the care and attention I got when I went to the Northwest Eye Centre. Everyone's been fantastic. I can't drive. In the UK, the driving agency, the DVLA, it's a bit sketchy actually. They say that you can drive with the use of one eye, but only when you feel accustomed and used to the monocular vision that you end up with. And that's a piece of string question, isn't it? So at the moment, I'm not feeling confident enough to drive. I'm pretty much housebound. I can get out for the odd short walk. Because of the regime of eye drops, you can't take them in batches of 3 because one would wash the other out. So you've got to space out taking them through the day. I have done a couple of walks and it's been okay. Anything where any sort of jolty movement, I do feel the eye socket pressing, and it is worrying. So I'm just trying to take it easy. I've made this video because I've seen a few others on social media that have been really helpful for me in explaining what the surgery is about, what a vitrectomy is about. It is a bit scary. I am a bit worried that it might be a long journey before I can get full vision back in my eye, but fingers crossed I've caught it at the right time, and I've just had the best care and attention that I could have wished for from the NHS here in the UK. I hope it helps anybody else that's suffering with the same problem, helps them get through it, and with decision making and understanding that something that we just don't know about can come along and really get a hold of you and change your life about. But fingers crossed you're going to have to excuse the pun, light at the end of the tunnel here, and I'm doing okay, and I hope if you've suffered similarly that you're doing okay too.